Well, let's speak to Ali Abunimah. He's one of the co-founders of electronic Intifada website, and he's also author of The Battle for Justice in Palestine. He joins us live by Skype from Chicago. Very good to have you with us, sir. The US President Joe Biden there saying that the US position on a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine hadn't changed. Do you think Palestinians will be convinced by that?
Only if you look at decades and decades of American declarations and think this one has any more weight. Of course not. I mean, the truth of what Biden said, I think the only true thing he said there was his commitment to maintain Israel as a so-called Jewish state, which means the permanent denial of Palestinian rights. And it's also very notable that Joe Biden believes that millions of American Jews are not safe in the United States, and the only guarantee for their safety is a foreign settler colony that only exists by virtue of persecuting, dispossessing, and killing Palestinians. So a very perverse ideology, which the United States has been advancing for decades by giving Israel the weapons to kill Palestinians and steal and colonize their land. So no change whatsoever from Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and so on.
Was there anything in the run-up to this trip that would have given Palestinians any sort of encouragement or hope that there might have been announcements with regard to the Palestinian situation?
Absolutely nothing, of course. The purpose of Joe Biden's trip to the region was to shore up a crumbling U.S. hegemonic order, and in particular to shore up the anti-Palestinian and anti-Iran alliance led by the United States with Israel at its core, and of course now includes various anti-Palestinian Arab dictatorships which are in the pocket of Israel and the United States. That was the purpose of his visit, and it was an extremely dangerous visit in the sense that he caved into Israeli bullying to escalate the rhetoric and threaten war with Iran. So it's really was a very bad visit for everyone in the region, and shows just how dangerous the United States is for the peace and security of the people of that region, and that, of course, includes Palestinians.
In the press conference that was held after about an hour or so ago, the president was asked about the human rights record of Saudi Arabia and whether or not he would address that. He has also in the past been asked about the human rights records, of course, within Israel as well, particularly with regard to the killing of Shireen Abu Akleh, the Al Jazeera's correspondent. Interestingly, he appeared to not spend a great deal of time on that subject, concentrating more on what he was hoping to achieve in Saudi Arabia. What message do you think that sends?
Well, it's very clear. Joe Biden's administration, since the murder of Shireen Abu Akleh on May 11th, has been doing its utmost to help Israel cover up this crime. So it would have been very surprising if Joe Biden were suddenly to make a U-turn and pretend to care about justice for Shireen Abu Akleh's family. Just in the past, the July 4th statement that the U.S. Secretary of State Blinken made trying to cover up Shireen Abu Akleh's murder backfired, and we've seen many senior senators in the United States, surprisingly, demanding that there be a real U.S. criminal investigation led by the FBI, and we've also seen the demands from Shireen Abu Akleh's family. But Joe Biden is absolutely determined to help Israel cover up this crime. He was also, during his visit, asked about the reality of Israeli apartheid, and he denied that as well. So we have to understand that Joe Biden has a very deep, lifelong commitment to keeping Palestinians subjugated under Israeli occupation, settler colonialism, and apartheid. And when it comes to Saudi Arabia, It's interesting that the US media are very interested in the human rights record of Saudi Arabia while saying almost nothing about Israel's crimes against Palestinians. That said, of course, we remember that Joe Biden, during his campaign, promised to make Saudi Arabia a pariah over the murder and dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi. He's gone back on that, of course. He continues to sell weapons to the Saudi regime to allow it to continue to slaughter Yemeni civilians, including children. And this is the horror and bloodshed that the United States has visited on the people of the region and indeed the world ever since World War II. And we can only hope that the continued decline of the United States as a global hegemon will finally free people of the region from this continuing horror.
Ali Abunimah, we appreciate your thoughts, sir, as always. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
You're most welcome.